So welcome everyone to our session today on using Copilot in SharePoint. I'm Jolynn Reen. I will be your instructor here today. Let's talk about Copilot and SharePoint. First off, what exactly is Copilot? Just very briefly to get us started here. Um, Copilot is Microsoft's AI tool that is built in to your Microsoft 365. Now, just a side note on the things that we'll be talking about today. It is required to have a Copilot license. You do have to have a specific license to use certain features. I won't get into real advanced options on that here today, but of course Aldrich can help you with any of your licensing questions or anything like that to make sure you are equipped to use the appropriate tools for what you need to accomplish. So whatever your objective is. But just so you know, the topics that we're going to be talking about today, it is required to have a Copilot license. The reason I'm kind of bringing that up is because there is a free version of Copilot that you can actually use, but that's not going to integrate with your 365 applications. And SharePoint is one of those 365 applications. Now, also some of the things that I may mention here today, you as an organization might have limits on what it is that someone can do. So I may be talking about creating a new SharePoint site. You may not have the ability to be able to do that within your organization, but there's other pieces of using Copilot that can actually help you with the need of a new SharePoint site. Also, you may not be in a position at your organization to have edit rights to a SharePoint site. Therefore, some of these features may not be something that you would use, but it's still good to understand how Copilot can be used in SharePoint. So there's definitely going to be some everyday tools that all of us will have available, regardless of our role within creating or editing SharePoint. Even if we're an end user, there's definitely some features that we'll talk about that you can take advantage of using Copilot in SharePoint. Now, what exactly is SharePoint? SharePoint, of course, is Microsoft's 365 app that we can use to share information, which is why it's called SharePoint, to share information based on a website looking tool. So this is an application that looks and feels very similar to a website that we can use to communicate information internally, sometimes externally as well, but it is very different than an actual website in the regards of the fact that SharePoint has very strong permission levels. We choose who can see it, who can access it, and what they can do and what they can really see within a site. If you think about your company website, that's of course a very open site that anyone in the world would have access to. Now, when it comes to Microsoft's commitment to Copilot, they are very committed to Copilot. They have been making major changes since fall of last year. They continue to improve, and SharePoint is one of these apps that they have recently made changes. As a matter of fact, I was in there the other day and all of a sudden there was something different than I normally was using. So you're going to see that some of these features may be dependent upon if you have the latest updates to Copilot, to SharePoint, to 365. Not every organization immediately releases updates to their applications. So you may be seeing things a little bit different sometimes based on what I'm showing you on my screen. But Microsoft is very committed to improving the way Copilot works with us. And you're going to see a brand new feature that came out within the past couple of weeks. We'll talk a little bit about that feature, ChatGPT 5. So they will continue through the rest of this year. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of things that are coming out here in the next month. And a lot of these are actually SharePoint related. Unfortunately, I don't have access to all of those. You may see some things on my screen that are going to say preview. It hasn't been released to absolutely everyone within the world. So some of these features are in the process of being available. Okay. Now, with all that being said, let's dive into how we're going to actually be able to take advantage of Copilot in SharePoint. Now, Microsoft is working on being more consistent from one application to another on how we use different features. That's a commitment Microsoft has had here for the past year, which is great for us. So what you're going to find, and I'm showing you a couple of screenshots because the icon to access this AI tool can look different. So, excuse me, I got a tickle already. So I wanted to make sure that you understood that you can't just look for one icon. Sometimes it's going to be a different looking icon, but I'm hoping by the end of this year, it is going to be consistent everywhere we go to look the same. So the location of the Copilot icon in general is always going to be at the top right of the window. You'll see that as I do demonstrations here today. But depending on where Copilot is available and what we're actively doing, like when I'm in a SharePoint page and I'm in edit mode and I go to a web part within that SharePoint page, I can have a toolbar of different commands, and it's going to look more like this bottom image where it is showing 2 stars. So just so you know, the icon can, as of today, can look a little bit different depending on where you go to access it. But the typical Copilot icon is going to look like the top right example that I have right up here. That's going to be your typical icon to watch for. Okay. Now, of course, if you don't have a Copilot license, you will not have these capabilities. But hopefully, if you don't already have it, this could be a reason to request a license for using Copilot. If SharePoint is a big part of what it is that you do on your day-to-day job, this is a great opportunity for you to learn and have, some power to say, I really need a Copilot license for these reasons. But what exactly can we do with Copilot in SharePoint? I get asked this all the time. It's like, okay, I understand how to use it in my email, but what am I going to ever do with it in SharePoint? Well, we can create content with Copilot. It can help us to create a site. It can help us to create a new page within the SharePoint site. It can help us with the content that we have within our pages of our sites. So we could have, and by the way, you don't want to, it's kind of best practices. You want to update your SharePoint site and your content on a pretty regular basis, especially if it's a communication site that you're communicating new information all the time. You really want to keep it fresh. Copilot's here to help you with that. I am not probably the most creative person when it comes to writing content. And I got to tell you, Copilot has helped me a lot, especially if I write it and then I'm not real sure if it says what I was hoping to get out of it. Copilot can be used not only to write it, but it could help us with existing information to help us rewrite it. So if you're in the position of, okay, I'm maintaining this page in SharePoint. I'm in the marketing department and I have this page where people can fill out a form and I give information about, promoting their products, their services, whatever the case might be. Copilot is here to assist us in a lot of different places, and it's going to continue to expand throughout the rest of 2025 and into 2026. A lot of things are going to be happening at the beginning of actually late fourth quarter this year and into 2026. I am super excited and I'm getting the shivers as I'm talking about it. But anyway, just so you know, there's also SharePoint agents that also can be used. Then we can utilize different co-pilots within Microsoft Copilot through SharePoint and other apps. We'll talk briefly about agents today. We're hoping to do a session on Copilot agents before the end of the year here so that everyone can understand agents a little more. But I will give you a little bit of a introduction to what they are. But agents are, I call them, this is my personal way to describe them, they are like an assistant to Copilot. They are here to help with what kind of questions should I be asking when I'm in this specific area? What are the things that our typical customers would be asking, our coworkers would be asking, etc. And you'll see an example of that here in just a few. Okay. But before we dive in, I wanted to mention in your handout, there is a ton of different examples. There's a ton of different suggested prompts that you can be using, because sometimes that's the hardest part is what can I really do? What can I be asking it? So I wanted to make sure that I included a lot of suggestions for you. I, of course, will be using some of those suggestions and examples here in a moment, but I wanted to give those to you in writing so that you have the capability of going back and using these right away without having to kind of think of them yourselves. Now, a couple of examples of using Copilot in SharePoint. You could have it help you to update or even create from scratch a project status. So if you're managing a project in a SharePoint site, you could use it in that regards. You could also, and I use it a lot in HR, and I'm going to use some examples of that here today. But if I had a new employee onboarding guide that I needed to create or to put into a site, I could use Copilot to help me with that. It can also help with things like a monthly department newsletter, IT help desk resource hub. The list is endless of what it is that Copilot can be doing to help us with SharePoint. Okay. Now, keep in mind, Copilot is available in all of your different 365 apps. So we're going to be starting off with a demonstration of how to use the Copilot app itself to help us with SharePoint. So as you can see here, a couple of bulleted points. Using the Copilot app can help streamline what we are needing to do within our SharePoint site. So most of the time we use Copilot directly in the app, but is that where you should start? Depends on what it is you're doing, because we want to find ways that the Copilot is going to be able to help us to enhance our content, help us to save time and energy, and give us ideas of what it is that we can be including in our SharePoint sites or our SharePoint pages. So the Copilot app is a great place to start, 100%. So in the Copilot app, we can be asking it specific questions. And I'll give you some examples. I'll do some demonstrations on this to help us generate site structure and layout, create pages and content, design and work with our branding of our sites, automate updates and revisions, and fully integrated with our Microsoft 365. So let me show you an example of what exactly am I talking about. So if you are not familiar with using the Copilot app, you can actually go directly to your Microsoft account when you log into your account. You could go to office.com, etc. There's a new URL. You can see on mine right now, it says m365.cloud.microsoft. I happen to be on the chat category as of right now, but this is my main menu on the left-hand side that I could get into all of my apps from here, etc. But I'm actually in the Copilot app right at this moment. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side, I have a couple of agents available. I could go to all agents. I could create an agent here, which could be an agent we're going to use in SharePoint, just so you understand that. But right now I'm in the conversations category and I'm seeing some of my previous conversations. But on the right hand side is where you want to be to take advantage of using Copilot for SharePoint. So let's say that your company is going to need a new SharePoint site. Whatever you have coming up, we need a new site that we want to do. What are some things that the Copilot app can help us with to get started with a new SharePoint site? So let's say that I am actually going to be creating a new SharePoint site for the HR department. We're just getting started with using SharePoint and HR doesn't have a site yet. I can just put in a prompt that says what should be included in a SharePoint site for an HR department. I can just click my send button and it will automatically, of course, give you responses for this. I also could put in help me plan for a new SharePoint site, specifically using the words plan, because you never want to have a site created without planning first. Whether you're going to create the site or your IT organization creates the site, doesn't matter. You plan before it gets built. So when we come in, how did Copilot app help us with this? Well, as you can see right now, it's giving us different information about here's what could go on the home page, here's what could be going. This is a great way to get started because of the fact that we could actually be having it automatically go and be utilized in your planning documentation, whether you're using OneNote notebook, you're using Microsoft Word, whatever the case might be. When it comes to the employee resources, we'll have benefit, we'll have policy information, forms, training, and development. It's helping us to know what content should go into this site, but it's not going to build it from here. This is not where we would actually be able to build the SharePoint site, but we still need to have that planning ahead of time so that we could come down to the bottom, we could copy this, paste it wherever we need it, do our brainstorming on us as an organization. How do we get started with this new site? What should be included? Well, Copilot's going to be there to help you create the pages and create the content once you're in there. But you need to have these ideas. So I could have this benefits information and I could actually then put that into Copilot once I'm in the site and say, create a page for benefit information and include, these details. I could copy and paste this from my document so that when I'm in SharePoint, I just paste this into Copilot and it will help us to generate that. But there's been a little bit of a change to the design of how we do this. So let me go over to that, which by the way, um, this is always where I start is the Copilot app. So whatever it is that I'm doing, I can come in here and ask it questions about how to utilize Copilot in SharePoint, whatever your case might be. But what I got for these results right now was using the old model of Copilot. There is a new model called ChatGPT 5 that is now available. You may have noticed at the top right of my screen, it said try ChatGPT 5. You 100% want to use it. Here's why. Dual engine architecture. It's has better and deeper reasoning modeling that it is using. So the way that a Copilot work, I should say, the way that AI works is it takes whatever we prompt and analyze it in a human like format and gives us a response back. Well, when it first came out, it wasn't that good. It was good, but not that good. Now it is even better. It really takes a deeper dive into what exactly are we saying. It takes each word, parses it together, no, has all these combinations of what it is that we're asking it. It has this new smart mode that is automatically built in as well. And just so you know, this new GPT also works with your other apps automatically. Or here in the Copilot app, we can say, I want to try it. And my recommendation is to definitely try it. You want to see what exactly can Copilot, well, depending on your GPT, the GPT-4 versus GPT-5, how is it going to respond differently? So we can do more advanced prompting. And by the way, I don't put as much into my prompt as I used to. We still want to be giving it the details that we need. I want it to be professional. I want it to include this, but not include this. We still need to do that type of prompting, that prompt engineering side of things, but it is so much smarter on really figuring out what we were asking it. It is becoming more and more human like, is what I really think about it. So just so you could see, if I go back to this same scenario where I put in this question and this is the response that I got, I'm going to go to the top right and do try GPT-5, which we'll talk more about that when we do our next session as well. It's telling me right now at the top, you are using Chat GPT-5. If I want to learn more about it, you can click learn more. But I'm going to ask it the same thing. What should be included in a SharePoint site for an HR department? Let's see if it gives us a different response than it did when it was using the older one. HR contact information. I could actually tell it to do a comparison, but an HR calendar. So you could see down at the bottom, it's even continuing this conversation with, would you like me to design a visual layout for this SharePoint site or create a detailed site map for navigation structure? So these are things that you definitely want to take advantage of, especially when it comes to this visual layout for the site. You want to have a visual representation as to how the site is going to flow. Are you going to have a hub site? Are you going to have multiple individual sites? Then are you going to have pages within those sites? It's all about making a good design, planning ahead to know that your site is going to work. So Copilot is here to help you with all of that. So you can really kind of take it to the best practices, continue that conversation with Copilot, but definitely use the GPT-5. Now, before I leave this, I want to just mention these agents. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to Create Agent when I'm here in the Copilot app, just so you can see it does actually use Copilot Studio in the background, which I could technically just go to the app called Copilot Studio. Come on. It's being a little slow there for a second, but an agent is here to assist. So if I have a website, and let's say that it's a website related to HR, and somebody comes into the HR site, what are the typical questions? What are the typical things that they're looking for on this HR site? We could create an agent that opens when they open Copilot, it automatically has the correct prompt suggestions for where we're at that given time. I don't know if you've ever gone to a website lately and did a chat or called somebody. I called an auto place for my Jeep the other day, and it was an AI person on the line. This is an agent that can help you with those types of things. But like I said, hopefully we'll be doing an agents session here and we can talk more about that. But just so you know, when I came into this, I'm in Copilot Studio and I could create an agent using Copilot by describing what it is I want it to build, and then I configure it from there. I can say, use this SharePoint site, use this page within the SharePoint site so that when somebody opens up Copilot, here's what they're going to get. Or once they use this agent, here's what they're going to get. So anyway, I won't go any further on it right now. I want to get into an actual SharePoint site with you so that you have a better idea of how to use this. So I'm going to go to SharePoint. Went to my Microsoft apps. I'm going to go to SharePoint. I can open up any kind of a site. Doesn't matter if it's a if it's a brand new site that you really haven't started to develop, if it's an existing site, whatever the case might be. I'm going to go to one that I have here called Accounting Department. This is actually a site that was created through Microsoft Teams. So every time a team is created, it creates a SharePoint site. This is when I take advantage of Copilot a lot. That's because when I come into that site, I've been doing things through Teams, but if I say in my file tab of my team, I tell it to open it in SharePoint, I'm going to come to the documents library. So let me go to the documents library to begin here. When I come into the documents library, I can actually take advantage of Copilot right within the document library. And this is something all of us can do. We can be using Copilot here. So you could see that at the top left, I'm in the accounting department, and on the left-hand side, I went to documents, which is my document library. One of the things that I could actually take advantage of with Copilot, which by the way, the app is located at the top right. So notice the Copilot icon up here at the top right. If I'm not selected on a file or a folder right at this moment. I'm in the main documents of the document library. How can I use Copilot? Well, if I click Copilot, it's going to bring up a Copilot window on the right-hand side like it normally does. What's going to happen from here? Oh, sorry, that was me. What's going to happen from here is you could see it, of course, knows who I am, but I could ask it to summarize files, create a fax-based, compare the difference between two files. I don't have to go into a file. I don't have to physically open it in Word or Excel or whatever and use Copilot there. I just want to ask a question. I might be looking for a file. So let's say that I'm looking for a file. On the bottom of this chat, I can take advantage of Copilot by asking it a question about this site. So let's say that I'm looking for a file that is related to a specific topic. And I don't know for sure if there is a file here, and if there is, where is it? I need to know, is there a file about sales? I just type it in, whatever your question is, press enter, and it's going to automatically analyze the contents of your site in this document library to answer those questions for us. I could ask it to give me information or create a chart based on an Excel file by selecting the Excel file without even having to open it. So you get your full Copilot capability directly in the document library. So you could see on the right-hand side of that came back, there's several files related to sales. Here's the list of them. Would you like more details on any of these files? Where I could say, show a summary of this file. List top selling products from sales for 2024, etc. I don't have to go to the file. It's going to take whatever file it is that I'm looking for that it found, and it can actually answer questions related to that file without even going into it. So full disclosure of using Copilot with any of your files in your document library, just like you can do in other apps. But if I'm already here in SharePoint in my document library and I'm looking for information on something, I'm going to do it right here. I'm not going to go someplace else to do this. I want to do it right within the document library while I'm here. So anyway, just so you could see, it came back with the answer of the top 4 products. But let's say that I want to ask it something else. Like, what if I need to know what files have been modified, and I could even say by a specific person, in the last 30 days? So I can ask it any questions related to information directly here within this library. Now, of course, if I'm in the home page of the site, I can be using Copilot there as well. But it's going to come back and let you know any of that information. So here's the files that were recently updated in the past 30 days. It will give you links to the information down at the bottom, so I could go directly to those files without having to drill in to the document library itself. I don't have to go to the folders or channels folders and locate those files. I'm going to get the links to them right within Copilot. So for me, this is something that I use every day. Seriously, every day. I don't want to have to work harder than I need to. And Copilot is here to make sure that I don't. So I seriously take advantage of this constantly. Now, I could spend the whole session just talking about different prompts, suggestions that you could use directly within a document library. There are so many options, like looking for a specific author, asking it any type of property questions, things like that. We could use it for any of that. Find me a file, show me files, which file mentions this specific keyword, summarize a document into 3 bullet points. Give me a quick overview of the last 3 updated files, whatever it is that you need. Which files were added in the last 7 days? Do I have files that were deleted? Whatever your case is, Copilot is here to answer those questions. So, just so you know, this is one way that you could take advantage of using Copilot. But let me take this just a step further. I'm going to actually close Copilot for right at this moment. Here in this document library, this is a easy way. Go to the top right, click on Copilot. But you could also go directly to a file and then use Copilot as well directly with a file. So it knows that I have a file selected. I could be asking specific questions about that file. So I could have it summarize the file I'm selected on. Or if I were selected on multiple files, I could say compare these 3 files, or whatever the case is. You have the capability of using Copilot from there. Just so you know, it's opening the top right. So, or it's located at the top right. But also when I am here, it's automatically looking at the default. So right here at the very top, it's looking at the default. And notice when I'm hesitating on up at the top right of this Copilot window where it says accounting department, that's the name of the site that I'm in. It was telling you, giving you a screen tip saying this agent was automatically created from this site. There's automatically an agent in every document library if you have a Copilot license. So when we're referring to agents within Copilot, the agent is already being used. It's being used in the regards of giving us these suggested prompts. We can create our own agents with our own suggested prompts if we need to. Like, let's say that I had a specific document library that these are the typical questions that people ask when they come into this library. We could create an agent with those prompt suggestions that they use most often. If you've ever been to a help site that uses an AI tool, an AI agent, that's what you're seeing. If I ask this question, it's going to come back with these responses. These agents are built in and are becoming more and more easy to use and more powerful as we speak. There's some changes that are going to be coming to those in the next month, is what I've been reading, and some, of course, changes, enhancements that are going to be coming by the end of the year with these agents. So, super excited to do just an agents session with you. But if I click this down arrow in this Copilot window, where it says accounting department, you can see that these are the other agents that have been used. But if I wanted to create a new agent, I can do that right from here, right from this drop down. I'll show you what this window looks like. Create an agent. It's going to open up the create an agent. It's kind of like a wizard to get you started. So you could see that it says the documents agent. So right now that's what it's called. It's based on this document library. So if I were in a different document library on this site, like let's say that it's HR policies, I could name it, which I'm going to do. I'm not just going to open it. I'm going to edit this agent because it's automatically here. I don't want to just use it because I didn't change it. So when I come in, first I have these tabs at the top. I can come in and give it a different name. So I'm gonna keep agent, but I'm gonna say documents library. So I know what it is, agent. So I know it's an agent and it's for this documents library. I could change the image, but I won't worry about that. I could put in a brief description of it, which usually I do. On the right-hand side, you can see the agent preview. So this is what it currently looks like. If I go to these sources, I can actually have it be a different URL that I copy and paste to say, add this SharePoint site to this as well. Otherwise, it's automatically based on the current accounting department, this document library, but I could add other document libraries, or it could be specific for folders, whatever our case would be. But then I go to the behaviors up at the top. This is where I can edit those prompts. So this agent has a name. I can come in and I can, at the top it says help users understand how to best use this agent. Go ahead and put in whatever message it is that you want, and then you can add or modify the starter prompts. So if this is going to be related to a specific document library, what are some things that people might be asking? Maybe they're going to be asking, find all documents that were modified in the last 14 days. That might be a prompt that people do on a regular basis. We can build this out. Now, just so you know, you can have multiples of suggested prompts, but they really kind of say kind of best practices, limit it to 6 or 7. Don't do many more than that. But let me save and close that one change that I did. Find all documents that were modified in the last 14 days. So this has now been saved, and that agent is located within this documents document library. So let me close my Copilot here for a second, just so you can see if I am in this document library, I don't even have to be selected on a file. I can open up my Copilot at the top right. What you're going to see is at the top it says document library agent. So it's automatically applied this agent to be working with this document library, which I only changed the one. And by the way, just so you could see, this agent is saved within this document library. So that agent file just showed up here, just so you could see that. But on the right-hand side, the only one that I really modified for right now to quick show you is find all documents that were modified in the last 14 days. So that is a very, very brief introduction to how an agent can be used with Copilot in SharePoint. Okay. But let's move on to some other things that we can be doing in SharePoint with Copilot. So on the left-hand side, let me just go to the home of this accounting department. Now, by the way, I'm not going to cover how to create a new SharePoint site by taking advantage of Copilot. Because not everybody has the rights to be able to do that. But I did put a little bit of information on that in your handout. You, of course, want to take advantage of the Copilot app to help you design it, kind of plan ahead on it. But otherwise, let me give you some examples of what it is that we can actually be using here when it comes to the already created SharePoint site. So I'm going to just go to the top left where it says new. One of the features is we could create a new agent for this page so that when they open Copilot, which as you can see, let me close it at the top here or on the right because I left it open, it's still open. But just so you could see, there's a Copilot icon when you come to the home page as well. That Copilot icon is always there. So I could technically have an agent that when they click on the Copilot icon here on this page, of this site, whether it's the home page or a different page, they can have an agent that they can use. Okay. But notice there's an option here. So hopefully I have the handout updated to this newest feature, which I think I do. Because some of you may see what I'm seeing right now, but if you haven't been updated in your SharePoint with your Copilot, if you haven't done the latest updates, yours may say, I think it said build a page with Copilot, or you just go to page and then it gave you Copilot. Honestly, I forget now because I've had this for a while. I forget what it used to look like. But either way, we can use Copilot to build a new page. If I click page with AI, notice it's in preview, so this is a relatively newer feature. But what it's going to give you is up at the top, describe the page that you want to create or start quickly with the template. Usually for me, I have an idea because I planned ahead. I usually will know what it is that I want. So sometimes I'll just go in and say, generate this type of page for these specific reasons or whatever. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to click on describe it. So I can describe what it is that I want. I could actually, sorry, I'm going to get rid of that text. I just did a copy paste. I could add resources to get better results on what it's going to be creating as well. I could even go to view prompts to get additional ideas. But before I just click send, down at the bottom left here, how do I want it to be very professional? Do I want it to be enthusiastic, etc.? Well, I'm asking it to generate an onboarding page for new hires in the IT department, including links to training resources, key contacts, and the first week tasks. Whatever your description is of the type of page that you need, change the tone of how you want it. And on the length, do you want it to be very concise, medium, or long? I'm going to keep the defaults for right now, and I'm going to click go. So you could see it has create a private draft as well. So it's not going to immediately publish this. Nobody's going to see it. It's something that I'm just going to see. Of course, I can save it, I can publish it so that everybody will have access to it once it is actually created. So you're drafting a private, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to click got it. It can add, I could have given it a lot more description as to what exactly it is that I wanted to add in, but I can say add in these web parts, etc. Give me a hero at the top, whatever. I could have given it all that specific detail. I was actually pretty generic on what it is that I told it, but just so you could see an example of how you could do that. Cannot finish creating your page. Continue building the page manually or try creating it again. I must be having a slight issue because I just did this yesterday in a different class. So I know this works because I use the same criteria. But when it came up with the page, I could look it over and then decide if I wanted to keep it. Or of course, like it's telling me, I could manually. And I'm going to say keep it and see if it will still generate it for me. But you can see that I have, of course, because I'm adding a new page, I could save and close the page. Let me see if it's going to. Okay, it didn't really generate anything, but let me just close this and I'll just say save and close for right now. Let me give it a title. I'll just say HRIT. That's good enough for now. I'm just going to go ahead and save this just so you could see. But let me go to an existing page. So let's say that I have the home page and I have editing capabilities, and you can see at the top here of this page, and this is very typical for me, because if I create a team in Microsoft Teams, it automatically creates a SharePoint site. So when people first go to that SharePoint site, it's going to have some generic things on there. Copilot is here to help you build that site and to make it a usable site. We don't just use it for the document library. We want it to be a useful site. So I came out here and I just said basically, welcome to the accounting department SharePoint site. That is not very friendly, not very helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click edit at the top right to go into edit mode. So if you have the capability of editing, this is another benefit of having SharePoint Copilot. So when you come into edit, you could actually go to existing text and have it help you rewrite it. You can also have it help you write from scratch. So I'll show you the difference between the two. I'm going to go ahead and select this text. Welcome to the accounting department SharePoint site. Notice my toolbar at the top. Here's my little star icon. When I hesitated, it says draft with AI. Once I click on that, it says, what do you want to change? Do you want me to auto rewrite it, make it more professional, make it shorter? What exactly do I want? Make it longer and more friendly. So it can automatically take existing information that you have on your site and help you rewrite it. But a lot of times I actually use it So it's giving me the suggestion, like a normal Copilot, I could say, regenerate, give me another example of what I could use. You never want to take word for word what Copilot comes back with. Put it in your own words for your own company, for your own department, etc. But let's say that I want to replace it. I'm going to go ahead and click replace. I can still, of course, make changes to it, which I would. I would come out and I would get rid of SharePoint site. I would just probably say accounting department, put my own spin on things. We're happy to help. I could change that. I could have had Copilot help me with that, but just so you're kind of seeing some of the options that we have available. Let's say that I want to add in a new web part. So if you're not familiar with how SharePoint works, on the right-hand side, I have this toolbox that gives me web parts that I can put into my site, which is how we add content to it. But if I go to text, let's say that I want to add in a new text web part. Here it automatically is giving me the box to put the text in, and it says add your text here. Well, I don't even know how to get started on what it is that I want there. I can click draft with AI. So maybe I want it to be a description. Describe this new HR SharePoint site for the employees so they know what it will be used for. Very generic, but just so you can see how you could actually put in a prompt to have it help you. These are the areas that I use Copilot a lot. Mainly for me, it's in the document libraries. I use the Copilot app to help me design things, but I could also be in the Copilot app asking it, what should go on this page? What should be on the home page? Then when I'm editing the page, I have Copilot right here that I can actually be taking advantage of it as well. So here's what it came up with. What changes do I want? I'm going to say make it shorter. So it's going to regenerate it to make it shorter. So if you've ever used Copilot before, this is just Copilot in SharePoint really kind of helping us with exactly the same things. So once again, I could click insert, I could have it regenerated, I could continue to have it make changes to it, whatever that case might be. One of the things about these web parts on the right-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and click on See All Web Parts. They are making a few adjustments to this, and these are two AI elements that we can be taking advantage of if you have the latest update. This is a category that we now have. So it's an AI category in our web parts that we can instantly use, and it could be an agent link that they can click on an image that says get help, and it can automatically use a specific agent that we have created for this site. So if they need help on how do I change my W-2? How do I change my benefits? Who is it that I contact? Whatever it is that people generally need help with, we could have an image that they click on and it will automatically take them to the agent link. Just so you're aware of a little bit more on how we utilize agents. But also on the right-hand side, one of the new web parts, there's going to be a few more coming over the course of the next 6 months. But the first one that they really gave us besides agents is this facts, and that's in preview right now, but I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Come on. Once again, I used this the other day too, but just so you could see what it's going to do is it automatically creates a web part. Let AI generate a set of frequently asked questions based on the source files you provide. So I can actually click get started, and it's going to walk me through saying, well, which files do I want to refer to that it can create facts from? Yes, we could manually do this, but why would we? We want to take advantage of what it is that Copilot can do for us to help us with these automated workflows. So this is definitely something I absolutely love. It is becoming easier and more efficient to create and maintain our SharePoint sites than it's ever been in the past. Lots of templates, which I really didn't go through all the template options that we have, where we can really be filling in the blanks to say, this is what I want the website or the web page to use. It uses Copilot to help you fill in the blanks. But what I seriously use the most is the example I gave you, where I just put in the description. So it generates the page based on the description I give it. Then I can add in these web parts and have it help me inside those web parts. So it's going to automatically give me the page with certain content that I told it to create, but then I'm going to use Copilot continuously to help build it, to further enhance the page as well. I am like super excited to be in SharePoint and have these Copilot capabilities. It has made my life so much easier over the past year with working with Copilot and working with SharePoint. But anyway, just so you could see, I could say utilize these specific files. Like, let's say that I want to use this file. Just so you could see, on the right hand side is where I'm kind of building this. I can put in what is the purpose of it. I could describe what it is. I would click start and it can automatically generate based on that file. It could have been a meeting as well, but just so you could see what it would do. It can create those facts for us based on a document. So by the way, create the document and have it available first to make it easier for this to be generated. Otherwise, it's a manual process where you would then be putting in the links and doing things on your own. But just so you could see, we now have these built-in web part tools in our toolbox when we are creating our pages within our sites. Okay, so just to kind of recap what we've been talking about, Copilot over the next 6 months and for the past 6 months has really enhanced its capabilities within SharePoint. Technically, you could use Copilot to help you create a brand new site, but take advantage of the Copilot app to help you plan before you build. Whether you're going to build it or somebody else is going to build it, you still have to do the plan. And I 100% use the Copilot app to help me do that, so I don't miss something. Because yes, I'm going to have my own ideas, and so are my coworkers. We're going to use a OneNote notebook and brainstorm, but Copilot can be our starting point to get our brain process going. And it can help us with additional things after that. Even give us instructions on how to do it. If you have editing capabilities, you could then come in to your site and you would be able to then have it help you create new pages, have it help you modify your existing pages. Whatever it is that you need from Copilot, you're going to be able to take advantage of that. So just so you could see what I have going on here. But anyway, take advantage of using Copilot in your document library. Look for the Copilot icon available at the top right, which right now I'm in my accounting department homepage. If I open up Copilot at the top right, if I had a different agent I wanted to use, I could go to the top right and choose the agent that I wanted to search based on in Copilot, or I just use the one that is automatically generated for the site, and it automatically gives me the default prompt suggestions, or of course down at the bottom I can go to that and ask it. Like, let's say that I want to ask it a question about this site. I want to know, is there contact information on this site? Normally I would talk to it, but just so you could see how you could use this. So it's combing through the homepage of the site, is looking for some contact information. I don't have to browse through everything and look for it myself. I can have Copilot be helping me with that as well. Now, I just found out that there isn't contact information. That should probably be added. I would actually go back in to edit this and I would have Copilot help me do that. Create contacts. But anyway, just so you could get a brief overview as to how we really can be taking advantage of using Copilot within SharePoint.